Go.
Hi, my name is James Coleman, and I'm going to persuade you that teachers should differentiate instruction for students with various needs, such as ESL, which means English Second Language learners in public schools. Teachers are faced with students with different learning needs every day. Teachers have to use a variety of teaching methods to help students understand the material, whether they are ESL students just learning English or students with differing academic abilities. Each student may learn differently, so if a teacher uses a variety of methods to deliver the content, then each child should have gained some knowledge of the material being taught. Differentiating instruction and meeting the needs of family is a critical component in today's classroom. Teachers are expected to deliver, and the students take in the knowledge that is given for each lesson. Teachers must use different teaching methods to properly teach the materials. There are several different methods teachers can use to teach ESL students and the students at different learning levels. Students who are able to learn the material effectively can advance in their classes and learn more challenging material. It is not fair for schools to use standardized testing as the sole measure of ability for determining advancement in schools. In an article developed of an identification procedure for a large urban school corporation identifying culturally diverse and academic gifted elementary students by Pierce and Adams in 2007 from Educational Psychology, minority students are underrepresented in gifted or advancement programs in schools due to the fact that they do not understand the language and are not learning the materials effectively from teachers' lack of instruction. The study revealed that 90% of school districts rely on standardized achievement or aptitude tests for identification into these programs. The researchers also state exclusive use of these instruments leads to underrepresentation of minority children and children from lower socioeconomic backgrounds for selection into gifted programs. When ESL or lower ability students are expected to perform at the same level as English-speaking students on standardized testing, they will generally score lower due to language barriers. The lower scores are caused from student placement in lower levels. Pierce and Adams also stated that minority students are more likely to be placed in lower ability groups and non-college tracks. In addition, when students are placed in lower programs, it takes away from them in their developing quality products. Other methods can be used to identify students for advancement. Educators have turned to a more comprehensive identification or selection procedure for selecting students for gifted programs. Educators have called for a change in attitudes about giftedness, recognizing that no standardized tests can measure the giftedness of a student. Alternative measurements could include the use of nonverbal tests, parent and teacher nominations for identification, multiple criteria, and allow students to provide evidence of potential in several different ways. The use of performance-based assessments by providing real-life problems are also good ways of evaluation of advanced placement. Subject tests should be administered in a language of the student's choosing to a point. When students are first learning English, it is difficult for them to translate each word that is said at first. If the students do not have a translator, then learning a second language is difficult. If the student knows a subject well, but then is given a test in a different language, this is difficult to understand to the student. The student will not score very well on the test. If teachers in schools would support the literacy development of the student and slowly increase the demand of using a second language on the test, then students would be able to progress in their own rate while still advancing in the subject. Kenneth Shore in 2001 in the article Success for ESL Students from the journal called Instructor explains that literacy skills in the student's native language enrich English language development. When a student has shown progress in learning English well enough to speak and read it acceptably, then the test can be administered in English until they can speak it well in order for them to maintain good grades. The test should be administered in a language of their choosing. There was an article by Dean Kuhn in 2007 named is directed instruction and answering to the right question from Educational Digest. She explains that direct instruction has its place but is mainly from knowledge level information. It does not promote higher thinking skills or higher levels of questioning on Bloom's taxonomy. Direct instruction is useful when introducing a new topic, but after the main facts have been presented, teachers should alter their method and use a method that would engage higher level thinking and learning. When teachers lecture and then offer group activities, they are combining methods to help the students learn and meet their learning needs. Teachers can do many different things when a class is integrated with students of different cultural backgrounds. Teachers can speak slowly to a student to make sure they understand what she is saying, and they explain the subject material in more detail. Also, use simple words in the direction as much as possible and check for understanding. Sure, explain that teachers can also assign ESL students a buddy so that they can ask their buddy for help or directions. Working one-on-one with another student has shown to increase language development for ESL students. The teacher may need to make sure that ESL students understand the words taught in a lesson and may need to spend more time explaining the terms to the students. In addition, it might benefit the students to share their success for certain accomplishments or talents. If the student is okay with this, a student could read a book in his native language and then read it to the class in English. This shows how he has learned to read the book in 2 different languages and comprehend that book and what it's about. Teachers could keep track of the students' work through portfolios to show their progress through the year. Teachers can also let the ESL students teach the class about their culture and their native country. This would give them an opportunity to share where they're from and be able to connect to their cultural heritage. Shore also explained that teachers are teaching to different levels of academic abilities in every class they teach. When ESL students are present in the classroom, teachers have to spend extra time preparing lessons for the class, and for those students, ESL students have the ability to learn the language and may be very bright in the subjects when taught in their own language. Teachers will become better in lesson planning and more diverse in cultural needs. When students and teachers know about their cultural heritage, they can take what they have already know and relate it to what they are learning. Teachers can use examples or have students use their background experience in papers or give examples of how they learn the subject of their country. Village and Lucas in 2007 in the article, "The Culturally Responsive Teacher" from the journal Education Leadership stated that when teachers understand the cultural backgrounds of an ESL student, the student feels more welcome in the class and is more open to learning. When students feel comfortable in the classroom, the teachers can teach to meet the needs of the student, thus helping the student understand the materials that is being taught. Teachers and students need to know about different cultures so that they can help each other understand where they come from and how they learn. Teachers can use a variety of techniques when teaching a lesson. Each student, whether an ESL student or any other student, learns differently. A teacher might use teacher talks and lectures. This takes time and the ideas are organized. This can be very effective if the teacher has a good lesson plan. This is very good for knowledge and comprehension level information. A teacher might use moving pictures, movies, which will give students a visual aid and can further explain topics in more detail. The method would be good to use with a lecture to provide a variety of resources to the topic in lecture. In addition, teachers might use demonstration and field trips. Hall in 2008 in the article, "The More Students You Reach, the More Students You Teach" from the Journal of Education Digest explained, this lets students see how to do something before they try it themselves. A demonstration followed by a lab activity, also hands-on interactive learning. This is a good form of evaluation. This allows the student to try something and to actually experience doing something, and also the teacher can give feedback to the students and see if the students are getting the material. Students have a hard time understanding English and are able to see how things are done and can understand the topic without worrying about the language barrier. Hill explains that teachers can also evaluate students by grading their hands-on work, rather than trying to figure out what the student was trying to say in their own language. Field trips are also a tool to use because students gain another perspective on the topic are in different environment for learning. Shore explains this can gain interest in the students to see how something works to see another person's perspective on a subject outside the classroom. Students like to take field trips and it enhances the lessons being taught. A teacher might use study guides, quizzes, or tests. Study guides let students know which topics they will be evaluated on and which ones are most important. A quiz or a test allows for students to test their knowledge and to see if they understand the topic. This allows for feedback to the teachers and the student. If a student does not understand a topic, the teacher cannot allow for time to reteach or summarize the topic to the ununderstanding student. Problem solving or story gains interests or learnings of the student. A problem to solve allows higher level of learning and allows the students to look at information in a real life situation. It can allow students to see how a topic relates to their own lives. All of these techniques have its pros and cons, but the key to using these is for the teacher to be prepared and have an outline and allow students to have some control in how they learn by offering them a variety of means of materials. In conclusion, by using a variety of techniques to teach a lesson allows for students to learn the subject a variety of different ways. Since students learn materials differently and at different paces, the success of a teacher depends on whether or not the students are learning in the classroom through the use of learning the student's needs and then tailoring the lessons and teaching methods to meet the needs of each student. Teachers will be able to help each student learn to the best of their abilities. Students can learn the material and advance in their coursework. Testing is not the only way students should be assessed. And if teachers are able to evaluate students effectively through a variety of means, then students will do better in coursework and in the future. The student success and failures are the teacher's success and failures. Therefore, I strongly encourage teachers at all levels to use a variety of teaching methods. Thank you.